Welcome to TB Collects. This is Tyler, and thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of TB Talks with my guest, Phil. Phil, how's it going, man?
All good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
No problem. I've been looking forward to this. Took a few weeks break, just had to. When I started this, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it every week. And that gets a little, you guys over at the Nerd Herd, like that's a lot of work every week, man.
Yeah. I mean, it does take we are committed, and we've come close to maybe a few of us have kind of missed a few episodes or thought about missing a few episodes for other things, but we can't be the first one. We don't want to do it. So, but it is hard work.
You don't want to be the first one because then you'll never live it down. You'll hear about it every week.
Never. It'll not be me. I'll put it that way. It won't be me. I'll not be the first.
All right, we'll see. We'll see who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. Anybody that's tuning in for the first time, this is a real relaxed talk about comics, but more about getting to know someone in the community. And Phil, you were one of the people that I found early on when I started YouTube through the Nerd Herd, like we were talking about. And I've told this story before, but I was kind of pissed when I found you guys because I was like, man, they're already doing the show that I want to do. I was like thinking about it a week before that, and I was like, man, I want to do like a weekly reading show and get some people on. And then like a week later, I found you guys, and I was like, damn it, they've already started it. I can't do it now.
Well, you have your chance every 5th week. It's a viewer's choice. You do put your pick in there, so there's still hope yet for the odd
tried,
one.
But man, you guys are getting so big now that there's so many people. It's going to take a while to get through all of those.
Yeah, Wednesday night's show there was quite a lot of books. I lost track, so I just put it in. Scott was the one kind of managing all that. Like, leave it to him; he'll do that.
It was definitely every week or every 5th week when you guys do that. I've noticed it's been more and more and more people. So I mean, I'm excited because you guys deserve it. You guys do great stuff over there, and it's my favorite show every week. So
thanks, man. But that's kind of what we're trying to do. I'm the same as you. Like, I wanted to be part of a book club because you spend all this money in books, and I read them and stuff. But then if you're on your own, you read them, put them away, and forget about it. When you have a chance to kind of just talk about it, and you kind of take more out of it as well. And
definitely, that was the reason I started doing a YouTube. Was I just needed people to talk to about the stuff I was reading. So.
And the good thing about the Nerd Herd is as well that I would have never read Wonder Woman. I had no interest in ever reading Wonder Woman, but Shane, being the big Wonder Woman fan that he is, he picked the Hecate and Gods and Mortals.
Yeah.
And I loved them. I thought they were
great. It is, and I find myself doing it too because I don't want to disappoint you guys. If I don't show up every week and at least put in my 2 cents, but I have read some things that I definitely wouldn't have. Sabrina, that was one that I didn't make it for the show, but I ended up finishing it after the show because you guys, and it was something that I would have never picked up. I never would have looked at that. That's not my wheelhouse, but I enjoyed it, so.
Yeah, well, we may be talking about Sabrina later on in the show. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
But I was similar.
Okay, well, before we get too far in here, we got a couple people in the comments already. Someone who's just everywhere. I see Comics versus the World, and he's a great supporter. Sorry, can't join guys live. It's been a long day. Have a good show. Catch up on the replay. No problem. I know that this is a different time for everyone. Everyone all over the world that's watching. So we got Highland G. Appears I'm early for once. Awesome. What's up? And I think you're going to be on Highland G tomorrow.
Yeah,
for his 1K subscriber celebration.
He's at 1,000 subs, so he's in a live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. UK time, which I'm guessing is
that'll be 1 because I'll be on it as well.
Are you? There we go. I didn't know.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited. Never talked with Highland G in person. Well, not in person, but
Yeah. I'm the same. I have a few messages here and there, but yeah, we go.
And Sean the noob, what's up, Sean? And we got Tom from this month's movie, this evening all, and Dino, as always. Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, evening everyone. Hope everyone's all good, enjoying the weekend. Definitely, man. The new episode 4, New Hope. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. You wait till the end and then see if it's a New Hope.
I'm definitely on the dark side. Like, I'm a Star Trek fan, but sure, I get it.
Oh, Ben, the attention-seeking geek. Hey, are they still doing their makeup or something? What are you talking about? We were on time. We were like 5 seconds late. Calm down. And we got Fuzzy Dunlop. What's up, TV? Scotland says, what's up? Hey, how's it going? And apparently Ben only came for Sabrina. So, well, Phil might have some Sabrina for you.
A wee bit.
Off my shelves. I wouldn't have read Doctor Strange. Yeah, well, there were some people who wouldn't have read it even after they or wanted to read it after they read it too. So
it's certainly one of the. It scored pretty low on the leaderboard. It's not one of the best ones, to be fair.
I couldn't find it digitally, and I had contemplated ordering it, Amazon today and trying to get it for that. And after hearing what your guys' scores were, I'm kind of glad I did.
I have Marvel Unlimited, so I could read.
Oh, okay.
I could have read it, but if I had to pay for that, I would have been asking for Scott for my money back. It's like, refund, please.
I get it, and I like that though, because he just wanted to try something new and wanted to learn about a character, and sometimes it doesn't work, man.
Yeah, well, we don't actually hold it against Scott. It's just kind of fun to wind him up, but yeah, it's. I said in the show, it was a bit of a letdown for the character because I just thought it wasn't worthy of a Doctor Strange origin type thing, which I thought it should have been better than what it was. But hey, that's what the book club's all about. Some gems you'll find, some rotten eggs as well.
Yeah, I think about that because I've gotten my wife into watching some of your stuff too, and she loved I Hate Fairyland, and we have 3 volumes, and she's read all of them now, and she's like, when are we going to get number 4? I'm like, I haven't gone to the store yet. I know they have it. Hold on. But like, she watches and she's like, how do they pick? And I said, I think, they each go around and pick, but they plan it out. So they kind of know, because you might have some crossover or something. Somebody wants to pick something. But I said, I don't think there are any rules. I think it's just whatever the person wants to read, so.
Yeah, well, we all have a list of stuff that we want to read or stuff we want to reread. Or stuff I just think that like Scott would like, or Dean, or something I think they would like that they haven't read, and we all have that list. And we are actually we're so far ahead of ourselves now because we pick every week, like a new person every week. That I think we're the end of July. We've got sorted out till.
Oh my god! Yeah.
But because we added the 5th week being the kind of viewer's choice, we didn't like take a break of picking our picks. So we're like. We used to like 4 weeks ahead of ourselves.
So now you've got like an extra month, yeah.
And
that's awesome.
It'll just keep going. But yeah, we enjoy it. I would say we'll just do it roundabout. The only rule we do have, technically speaking, is we don't pick a DC after a DC or Marvel after a Marvel, trying to mix it up.
Yeah, so, I could see that where you get kind of locked in and you pick a bunch and then you kind of leave some stuff out. But yeah, you guys have a really good mix, and I think that's one of the things that I enjoy is like you said, you can go from, Sabrina to Lock and Key to Kanto to Wonder Woman, everything. So it's fun. And
the hardest time was Christmas, because at that point none of us really knew many Christmas books, and we read some stinkers. There were some terrible books that month, but some decent ones too.
Yeah,
of course, I picked Klaus, which was the best one, of course.
Of course. And Ben, Gems and Rotten Eggs, like the comic book YouTube community. Which one are you, Ben? I don't know. He's a bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
And Noob says he has a head shaped like a rotten egg, so I guess I fall in that category. Noob, when are you going to get a channel, Sean? That's when I really want to know, so that we can watch your egg-headed or egg-shaped head every week. So, I love the mix of books, and I love the mix of you guys, because everyone's kind of in a different. They have their own sort of specialties, and everyone has a different experience level, and so you guys get a really good mix, and you very rarely agree, which is great, I think, because that's the way the world is. Not everyone agrees, and when you do agree, you should look at that book, and the books that you guys all agree on are great books, so I think it's a really good mix, and you guys have found a good sweet spot there. So
yeah, my memory is terrible, but it was like the first time ever. It was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We all scored the book the same out of 10.
Yes.
So for 30 odd episodes, we've only done that once. We've all agreed on the book. But yeah, I like the fact that we can mix it up and
there you go, man. You got Highland Gila, Klaus is awesome, and Dino saying Klaus was great. Totally surprised. I have it on my list, but I'm like, I found you guys after Christmas time, so I don't want to read Klaus now because it's not Christmas time. So I think I'm going to save it for this Christmas, but I'm probably going to end up just, it's on my Comixology list, but I'm probably just going to buy those hardcovers because they're so beautiful. Like, they're so nice.
The hardcovers, like, they're just like I always think you have a better experience reading a physical book, and an even better experience reading the kind of hardcover when it's like premium format. It's larger, the pages are thick and stuff. And even that Klaus book, like, it's like golden gilded, or whatever the word is, on the edge of the paper. I think on the Bible or something.
Gilded, yeah.
And it's just I get more enjoyment out of that.
I definitely. That's what I was gonna say. Comics World World. I need to get around to Klaus sometime, maybe this Christmas. And then he says, "Yes, I'm still here. I thought you were leaving." Totally worth it. I agree, but yeah, you guys have the formula down, because I mean, you do it every week, and you're never going to run out of content because there's just more and more trades and more stuff, and you guys are just going to keep going. And I remember you saying, "Oh, we made it to 6 months," and like, hell, you guys could go on for years now. Every week. So I'm excited every Wednesday, and sometimes it's something random that I have never heard of, or something that
Well, let me ask you a question. What did you think of Secret Wars?
I did not read Secret Wars because I found you guys after, like I said, I found you probably in January, February, somewhere around that time. And by that time, you guys had already been like 16 or so in. And so I went back and watched all of them, but I didn't read all of those. And I'm not a Marvel person. I've read probably 4 Marvel books total. So I'm not anti-Marvel. I'm just not pro-Marvel, I guess is the best way to put it. So I enjoyed the Thor God of Thunder book, but I had some of the same issues that everyone else had with it. The faces that Jane brought up. Everyone was like shocked to be in this world. So that was one thing. But I enjoyed the story. I thought it was fun. And I've watched almost all the Marvel movies. So I'm not like I said, I grew up, watching Spider-Man and X-Men just like everyone else, and played all the video games and enjoyed that. So I'm, like I said, it's just in the comic world. I haven't delved into that other than I read the first Oz book by Scotty Young, which is Marvel, but it's not in the Marvel universe. So, but I got that because my wife loved I Hate Fairyland. And then I said, yeah, he did this Oz series, and she loves Wizard of Oz. So I was like, here, let's get this. And she enjoyed the first one. So
have you read it yourself? I
read half of it so far. I love the art. I just don't care about the story. Yeah. I don't love Wizard of Oz. I don't have that affinity for it the way she does. So the art's fantastic. I love Scotty Young. So
yeah, I'm only kind of recently been drawn to Scotty Young. I don't know why. I kind of thought, like, I think I said before, whenever we were talking about I Hate Fairyland, he's just a glorified doodler. Like, he's just this little kid who's like in school class, not paying attention. He's just drawing on his notebook, but he's perfected it. And like I never really thought about it in terms like, well, that guy deserves a hell lot of respect because he's perfected it. Like, he's not just doodling; it's a profession.
It is.
And some of his covers I don't like, but majority of his, like, I only really know him for his covers initially. Some of them are fantastic, and I Hate Fairyland. Even though like I had some issues with the art being too pinky and there was just too much sugar. I wanted a bit of savory in that. But overall, like, his pencil and his art's fantastic.
I will say, because I talked to Shane after the I Hate Fairyland reviews that you guys did, and I told him that my wife and I were going to continue on with this series. And I will say that I think that volumes 2 and 3 that I have read have they definitely expand on that world, and it's you still get that sugary sort of thing that I know what you're saying, like, because my wife was reading it and she was like, why don't they just cuss? Why do they have to say fluff and all that stuff? And like, she's like, I'd rather they just cuss and just put it in there. And I'm like, that's, who knows? It could be editorialized. It could, whatever. Maybe that's just what he wanted. But the story itself, I am enjoying and want to see like that 4th volume. And I think it's one of those stories where they did it long enough. Like any more would be too much, and any less would be kind of like.
Has it ended? Is it completed?
I mean, there's only 4 volumes, and I don't think he has any plans of continuing on. So. Well, hold on. We got all kinds of comments. Oh my gosh, we have a ton of comments. Sorry, this is the problem, man. You get talking to the guest, and then you don't. Apparently, Ben is wondering about the security of your man cave, because we could have Sean come over and give you a little visit. Apparently,
Sean lives like 30 seconds down the street from where I live.
How do you feel with someone like that living that close to you? Do you just worry about your safety every day?
I feel his presence every day. Like I never seen Sean. I never seen Sean walking his dog before. I kind of rough like idea who's in the street who walks her dogs. But since I met Sean, I see him every day now walking his dog. It's like he's purposely trying to spy on me.
Sean has dogs, so he's good people. All right, I like Sean a lot better now. Now that I know he has dogs. Off My Shelf says, what are your comic preferences? Then TB, I honestly am DC and independent. That's pretty much it. And I'm really am not super knowledgeable on DC, just Batman. Like, because that's where I started was Batman. And then now I'm opening up mainly because of like you guys. Like I read the Wonder Woman Gods Immortals. I love that. I have the Hikatea on my list to read. I haven't read it yet, but you guys spoke so highly of it, and it's Greg Rucka, which I love Greg Rucka. Yeah. And I've read some other things, trying to branch out into, I've read some more Superman, which is always kind of a thing, but mostly indies is what I read. And that's kind of where I fall. So, but I don't, like I said, I'm not anti anybody. I'll try anything, to try and read it. I just want to read good stories. That's all I care about is the good story itself. So
I'm the same. I don't think I'm typecast. Like I'm a Venom fan. I'm 100% a Venom Spider-Man fan, or what I think I am. But I'm not kind of DC, Marvel, or indie. I like a mixture of both, and my pull list every week kind of shows that. I get kind of equal amounts of both, really. I only get more Marvel books whenever like Keenan Black have a big event, and I'm getting all the tie-ins. That hurts the pull list and hurts the wallet. But other than that,
man, the events are crazy, and I don't know. I'm personally moving away from singles and getting into collecteds just because I found that when I was collecting singles, there were very few stories I was following, and then I would try and like get a couple books here and try this series out, and I just was like, there's so much good stuff that's already collected, and I know it's good based on, reviews or whatever, or things that I need to read. And those stories that I'm kind of moving away from singles. I still have my pull list, but I've whittled it down to a lot. Like I was down to like, 9 or 10 a week, and now it's down to like 2 or 3 a week, maybe, so.
I'm the same. I was getting 14, 15, 16 a week. And sometimes, I have to say that not all individual titles. Sometimes I was getting the variants and things as well, so covers A and B, and I think like for Deceased I was getting A, B, and C covers, and
that gets expensive.
It is, yeah. So I needed I have kind of cut it in half or by more than half, but I think I'll always pick up Batman. I think I'll always pick up Detective.
And that's what I've gotten to. I've just like whittled it down to like I'm picking up the Walking Dead Deluxes just because I started picking them up, and then I pick up, Batman, Detective, and then like some other series where like Seven Secrets, like stuff that's ongoing currently that I want to read, but I stopped picking up all the little, oh, this is the hot book, oh, this is the new series, that kind of stuff, and I just cut all that out because I was like, man, it's a lot of money at the end of the month, when you add it all up.
My issue was I wasn't getting to read them.
Yeah.
So I'm buying these books and I'm maybe reading 50% if I'm lucky, and the other 50% getting put away. I'll get to them one day, but the next week a new pull list and it's the same thing. So they just build up and build up. There's so much unread But then I'll end up going and buying the collected edition.
Yep.
And it's like, I've just
And
wasted
it's
all
also easier to read. It doesn't have ads, that kind of stuff. So I think I'm not going to quit pulling singles, but I've cut it down considerably. We have a ton of comments that I'm going to try and catch up with. But Comics vs. the World says, I love Scotty Young's Oz books. I think they're amazing. I thought I Hate Failing was crap, though. Oh, man, that's all right. And then Off My Shelf says, I'm editing a video about Scotty and Middle West. Middle West I have from a Humble Bundle where they did the digital for Image, and I have the two volumes of Middle West, and I'm super excited, but I haven't jumped in yet. Oh my gosh, man, you guys are blowing it up. Comics vs. World loves Middle West. Oh my God, Scotty Young is best known for his baby covers, but interestingly, that is never something he wanted to do. He only does them due to the man. I watched an interview with him where he said that the baby cover kind of was out of nowhere and kind of an accident, and then he got asked to do more of them, and then it just caught on like wildfire. That he really didn't set out to do that. It just kind of blew up,
But he's doing more and more of his own books now too. Like he's on Strange Academy, isn't he?
Yep, he's Strange Academy, but he's not drawing it. It's Humberto Ramos, I think, is the artist. But yeah, I haven't jumped into Strange Academy, which I think would be a good Marvel, something for me to jump into because, like I said, I love Scotty and I like his writing and stuff. So that might be. Oh my gosh, you guys! Off My Shelves. That was a trade book. That's where being a trade paperback collector comes in handy. 3 trades and I'm done. I'm trying to get away from trades too. Honestly, I'm trying to just go straight to hardcover because you end up, like you said, you buy the singles or you buy the trades, and then they're going to end up releasing an oversized hardcover or an omnibus or something. I'm trying to stop the repeat spending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tom loves DC and Indies. Yes. Off My Shelves, hardcovers are the way for me. I love your videos, Off My Shelves, man. Yeah. Your overviews, like you have some amazing books and things I'm jealous of, but I love the overviews that you do about like Usagi Yojimbo and stuff like that. Your videos are great.
He made me want to buy that book. What's his name? Is it Barry Windsor Smith?
Monsters book? I know it's on my list, and I've got it ordered. I haven't put the order in yet, but I'm going to get it because it looks so cool, and it's all it's not that expensive here in the US. I think even on Amazon it's only like $35, so it's like $15 off of the cover price.
Fairly cheap here. I'm around £20, I think.
Yeah. Singles are such a pain to read that I avoid them in general. I don't know. I just can't get away from singles. I love having a single sometimes, but if you're trying to really read a story, it's so difficult, and like you bag and board them, and then if you like pull 5 of them out, you gotta undo them, and
I know.
Usagi Yojimbo IDW series. I know I have the Wanderers Road stuff that I'm picking up, but I'm not picking the regular Usagi Yojimbo one. And I think we're Strange Academy. I love Strange Academy. This will be a TV show. I haven't heard that, huh?
It's probably the good guess, and to be fair, I haven't read it myself. I've got the first volume to read here, the first trade, and I mean, Ben mentioned there as well. Like everyone talks so highly of it that I think it's kind of got to do something. Like if Disney Plus can get something going here for this, like 100%.
I mean, at this point, I feel like Disney is going to make anything they possibly can into a TV show, and it's going to be successful. I worry that at some point there's going to be burnout. I don't know how much it would be to be burnt out, because right now it feels like, to me at least, I'm burnt out, but I'm not like I said, I'm not a Marvel fan, like a big Marvel fan. So I don't know how it is for people that are huge Marvel people.
It's like now the MCU stuff has it's essentially come to a close, or at least that phase has, but like I feel like it's all come to a close now. So where are they going to go next? And they've started now doing the WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki's coming up, and there's a few other things, TV shows, and sometimes I think that it's maybe a better way to do it. Like someone mentioned before, like X-Men, for example. X-Men's so big that if you try to fit that into a movie or a series of movies, it's not going to work. But maybe a TV show, they can introduce it all, and then maybe have a big movie towards the end or something. It's maybe the way to go. But
I agree. I think what I would do being like a fan would be that you have a TV series that's like an ongoing TV series or something for like X-Men, for instance, if they're going to try and do that. And then the movies are the events, you know.
Yeah.
You have like a continuing ongoing series that's, you know, 10 or 12 episodes a year or every other year or whatever. And then you have an event or some sort of big crossover or something like that is the movie. Whereas, like you said, there's just too much. You can't develop, especially someone like the X-Men. Like, there's so many characters in there. And I think that's my biggest issue with burnout with Marvel movies is that you don't get a whole lot of development with the characters in any of their movies because they have so much to fit in, and it can't be 5 hours long. It can't be a Justice League Snyder cut every movie.
Yeah, if you consider Thor, for example, like the first Thor movie was okay, the second one not so good, but Ragnarok, it took him 3 movies to kind of develop what we know him as, even a few Avengers in between as well. So, and Thor Ragnarok was one of the better ones for me. But again, it took those. I think
you know, as a non-Marvel comic reading fan, Thor Ragnarok was definitely one of my favorite. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Like those are I think of the Marvel movies, I like those way more than the traditional, you know, Marvel movies, the Captain Americas and Iron Mans and stuff. So,
yeah.
Highland G says, I'm so burnt out on shows and movies from Disney. And I can't believe, like, if you're a Star Wars fan, what did they announce? Like 7, 8 shows now or 10 shows or something? It's crazy. I don't know. I think Black Widow's the only thing I'm hyped for. It is crazy. She's been in like every movie, and she still hasn't had a single movie. You know what I mean? Like, she's been in like every Marvel movie.
Do you know the sad thing is, like, she's been in every Marvel movie, and she's played a fairly key role in all of them. But her spoilers, guys, her death scene in Endgame. It didn't pull the heartstrings or anything like that. You didn't feel sad for it almost, you know. It's like I feel like they wasted. I don't know what they've done wrong, but why they wasted that moment where they could have built it up a bit better, or maybe just no one really cared for the character.
I watched a video on YouTube of a critique of Marvel movies and why that is, because I think a lot of people that are very critical of Marvel movies, and one of the big things is that when someone dies or some big event happens, they don't give it time to breathe. You don't have time to mourn anyone's death.
Yeah. And
like I said, part of that is probably because they can't make a 4-hour movie, but another part is just that, you know, they don't spend a ton of time when some big event happens or when someone dies that you're really supposed to feel the impact. And so as a fan, you're not getting that sort of gut punch that you really want to feel that someone was important. Oh man. Off My Shelf says, thank you so much. Thank you much. Appreciate it. You both have fantastic channels. Thanks, man. By the way, Monsters is hard to read in places. Not what I thought it was. Videos oncoming. It's going to be a controversial one. Uh-oh.
Nice.
Well, maybe I'll check that out before I put my order in. Dino's hyped for the Eternals here. I don't know anything about the Eternals, so I have no idea what that is. But Dune, I'm super excited for the Dune movie. What's it? Villeneuve. I can't think. I think that's the name of the director. I'm excited for that.
Not sure.
I have watched Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor with my daughters tons now as they love them, hate all the rest, but those two absolutely do it for the kids. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is more accessible because you don't need to know everything else, all the other backstory, you know?
Because nobody else did before those movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had never heard of them before the movies, but Phil, you have no heart. I cried for an hour after Widow's death scene. Damn it. Now I'm crying again. Ben, you're just an emotional ball of nerves.
I don't cry. I don't really cry at death scenes. I cry more at like the fuck yeah scenes, you know, like kind of like, you know, when Thor, for example, in Thor Ragnarok, when he was in the tower of his sister and he's like, what are you, the god of again? And he became thunder and he comes down, fights him with the Led Zeppelin music kicking in. Like, that's what I kind of like, yes, that's what I cry at. The good stuff.
You're a positive crier. You're not a sad crier.
Yeah.
You're a happy crier. Okay.
Happy tears.
That's good to know, man. We're getting some fucking interesting stuff. This is not how I thought this conversation would go when I planned it out. But this is great. No. So great. You're someone that I can talk to about this.
Okay.
Final Space. You have watched Final Space, correct?
I don't know what Final Space is.
What? I thought you told me that you liked Final Space, the TV show on TBS.
No.
Shit, I thought that you would know about this. Anyway, you should watch it.
Of notes stripped up.
Yeah. No. Final Space is an animated show done by Olin Rogers, I think is his name, but it's on HBO Max. I don't know if you guys have that over there. Do you have HBO Max over there?
No, but some of the programs they have are somewhere on Netflix, somewhere on Amazon Prime, and other kind of things as well.
Here we go, man. Look, I knew this was gonna get Highland G. I like Final Space. Off my shows. Oh, sorry. Immigrant Song kicks in is amazing. Yes, that opening scene when Immigrant Song comes on is fantastic. Nerd Herd, love Final Space. Final Space is superb. I have Final Space to watch on Netflix. It looks so maybe it's on Netflix over there for you guys.
Yeah,
you should definitely check it out. So what I describe it as is a less pretentious Rick and Morty, with more heart, kind of in the vein of like Futurama. But the reason I brought this up is you're talking about like shows that just like gut punch you and stuff. Is like it's an animated show about this guy in space, and it's obviously fictitious, and there's all this stuff going on. But I never thought like there are some real moments that are like kind of choke you up, and you're like, man, this is like got some heart in it, and you're just like, it's the first season. I know some people I don't think liked it because the main character is kind of annoying, but I think that's the point because he's basically imprisoned on a ship and he's all by himself and he has like an insanity robot bot to like make him not go insane, but he's like imprisoned on the ship. And like, you think about it, you're like, if I was imprisoned on a ship, would I be like going crazy and stuff? And I think as season 2 goes through, I finished season 2 recently, and he becomes more likable, I think. Yeah, Highland G. It's Star-Lord mixed with Futurama in space. Yeah, Star-Lord. He reminds me of Star-Lord a lot. But
I'll have to check this out.
You definitely should. You should put it on your list. It's great. It's really funny. Like I said, it really like it gets you in the. There's a cat named Avocado, like Cato. It's so funny. Blue Sonic, what's up? Hey, how's it going, man? The robot reminds me of Portal the game. Yeah. It's funny annoying. Yeah, he's in the first season he's kind of annoying, but it's funny annoying. But then he's definitely it gets better, I think. But yeah, I just finished season 2 and season 3 just finished like live. But I bought it on iTunes because I was like, I have to continue this. It's so good. So
is it rude humor? Like, is it kind of
yeah? It's kind of it's definitely not for kids. So I wouldn't watch it with children, but it's funny and it's good animation, and the story, like I said, there's some exciting. It's Star-Lord mixed with Futurama, mixed with kind of like Rick and Morty, but not as. I feel like Rick and Morty is too pretentious. Like it's like I'm really funny and for smart people kind of thing. It kind of has that sort of feel to it.
I haven't seen that much of Rick and Morty, but I kind of almost get the impression that it's too big for its boots now, or something. Yeah, it's just like
definitely
something more than what it is.
And Futurama is my favorite TV show of all time. That's like Futurama. I've literally watched Futurama 15, 20 times. Like it's my go-to of like my wife hates it because I watch it all the time. So but I love Final Space. It's definitely something everyone should check out.
See, I have a problem watching animated TV shows, unless I watch them at night, of course, because I was watching Invincible. That was last weekend, and the kids they were in a different room. I thought I'll put Invincible on, no problem. And Invincible isn't that bad in terms of like cuss words and things. Obviously, you see people get their brains kicked in and stuff. So a wee girl came in and goes, "What are you watching, Daddy?" And it's like, just a show. I'm gonna turn it off. It's like, no, it's a cartoon. I can watch it. Like, you really can't watch this cartoon. Like it's just not happening.
Yeah, I stopped watching Invincible because I have the first 4 trades, I think. Yeah, I think I have the first 4 trades, but now I want the hardcovers because the TV show reminded me how good it was and how I need to go back and read it. And so I stopped like 4 episodes in, and I'm like, I just need to pick up the Ultimate Collection hardcovers. But now I'm debating on whether or not to get like the compendiums, because the hardcovers are expensive, and like
the hardcovers are, in terms of the kind of smaller volume, oversized hardcovers, I think you can get them. They will continually come in and out of print or out of stock. But I think the kind of is it the deluxe or the library, whatever they're called, like you're not getting them anytime soon because they are expensive.
I think I saw Volume 2 on sale on like one of In Stock Trades or something, and it was like $125 or something for that, the library or whatever. Yeah, the
compendiums, to be fair, they're decent enough price. I've seen them on. There's a new website for collected editions it is worldwide, but very much in the US. It's like Organic Price Books.
Yep, definitely.
We've seen them, and they have it in stock, or they've had it. I think they have a back order of it now, but it's reasonably priced. And if I lived in the US, I would buy from there. So,
yeah, I definitely have checked out Organics Price Books because they've been on a bunch of other YouTube shows, and I have heard literally nothing but good feedback about their shipping, how quick it is, customer service. Everything has been great. So
it's just one guy working out of his own.
I know. I call
it garage. We call it garage. Garage.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's hilarious. Sean still hasn't watched Invincible. I watched, like I said, I think I watched the first 4 episodes, and they were great. I loved them, but then it reminded me how good the comics were, and I haven't read the comics in so long that I'm like, I need to go back and read them again, or should I? Highland G says it turned out pretty good, but it's a different feel to the comics. Okay.
The ending was fantastic, and it made me want more.
Did you finish the whole series?
Yeah, because I haven't read the book, and after watching the TV show, I want to go back, and I want to get the compendiums or get something to read on, because it's just that good.
I know, and that's what I want to get farther, because like four volumes trade paperbacks is like what three episodes or something. Yeah. They're moving pretty quick. So, but yeah, the actors that they got for that is amazing. Like the voice acting talent is incredible. When you listen to it, you're like, holy shit, how did they get all these people? But I guess maybe that's COVID. No one's working right now, so maybe they got a bunch of people.
They're all just sitting at home like we are with their microphones and recording the lines.
That's true, man. Maybe we can get some work, huh? All right. Well, like I said, this did not go anyway. I never plan these shows really. There is a loose format, but hey, we just spent 39 minutes talking about whatever. So we'll jump into one thing that everyone has to do, and that's everyone's favorite thing is this or that. So what I'll do for this is I'm going to give you 2 options, and you have to pick one and explain why you picked that one. These are random, and Phil does not know these questions in advance, so this will be completely off the cuff. So the first one's an easy one. I want to start you out easy. First one is be able to run 100 miles an hour or fly at 1 mile per hour.
Can I get scientific?
Whatever. This is how you have to answer, but you have to pick one or the other. So
I'm pretty certain. I mean, I'm a big guy. So flying at 1 mile per hour, like surely like I'll be like scraping the ground or something, because it's just about holding me up. Like gravity is not, like I need the speed, I need the momentum.
You think that if you're flying at 1 mile an hour, you won't even be able to get off the ground?
Yeah, it's just like I need the momentum to take me higher up. So, but then running sounds exhausting. Flying, you just kind of like, arms in the air, just drift off.
Well, yeah, and like running, I mean, if you're running at 100 miles an hour, you have to have land. I don't know. What do you think? If you're running 100 miles an hour, can you run on water? Like,
I'd say you could.
If you fly at 1 mile an hour, yeah, it's really slow, but you could at least fly over. You could reach other lands or something. Yeah.
But again, I'm trying to work out the height in terms of, can you get high enough at 1 mile per hour? Because like if you were flying and just say I don't know, think if I could fly, I'll go and steal something from the shop and be able to fly away and no one will catch me. It's just like you're gonna be held down. So
can you stay above water? That's what I mean. Like if you're running 100 miles an hour, you might be able to just run on water. Like that's pretty quick.
Yeah, I'll say that. So then I can run to Kentucky.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if you could run 100 miles an hour, you could go anywhere basically. So maybe the running at 100 miles an hour would be, but flying, like you could just jump up in the air and just fly to wherever, but you get there really slow. But You wouldn't have to walk or run.
Like okay, well, there's a shop down from where I live, just like a kind of local grocery store.
Running sounds exhausting. If you can run 100 miles an hour, you sure you'd be okay for a bit. You're right.
Yeah. No, I might be able to run for 100 miles per hour, but I'm not running for the full hour. I might do it for like 5 seconds, and that's
oh, so you're just gonna sprint at 100 miles an hour?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's like a grocery store near where I live, and it's maybe a 15-minute walk where I go. Right, so if I was to fly there at 1 mile per hour, like it just seems pointless. I'll just walk. Do you know what I mean? So like flying at 1 mile per hour doesn't really benefit you unless you just want to be up in the sky.
All right.
Like
I think we're in agreement then. I think I'm with you. Running at 100 miles an hour, because I mean, then you can outrun anything. I mean, that's that's almost I mean, you're not as fast as a plane, but I mean, you're faster than anything on land. So there's still obviously cars that go over 100 miles an hour, but that's pretty damn quick. All right, that one's good. All right, so next question we'll have. This one's a tough one. Oof. Dinner with Samuel L. Jackson or Morgan Freeman?
Well, that's tough.
That is tough, man.
Because like I like them both, and they're both iconic.
Oh yeah.
I get the impression. I was going to say I get the impression Samuel L. Jackson would be more of a partier, but I think Morgan Freeman's known to have I think he's been a single man his whole life. It's like he likes to go out and party and stuff. So
this definitely did not go the way that I picked these questions beforehand, and this is not the answers that I thought. But this is great. I love it. I've never heard that Morgan Freeman was single his whole life. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I think him and Al Pacino and stuff they've just kind of refused to get married because they enjoy the lifestyle that much. So I think Morgan Freeman. But then I don't know. Better movies. I've probably enjoyed more Samuel L. Jackson movies than Morgan Freeman.
Well, yeah, but they're both in everything. I mean, they're both like everywhere, and like either of them could voice over your life. Like, how amazing would that be? Like, Samuel Jackson would definitely have more cuss words, but So we have a few people in the chat. So Highland G says Jackson, and Dino says Jackson all the way. Samuel speaks his motherfucker language. Yeah. Morgan Freeman, Sam Jackson would bring a shit ton of snakes into the restaurant, and I want a chilled out meal there.
See,
this is a good point. Tom brings up dinner with Freeman, and I would have him read me comics.
I was going to say that I like him to tell me like a bedtime story.
Morgan Freeman telling you a bedtime story, that would be fantastic. You just
absolutely
just pass out.
Oh, it's a tough one. It's tough. It's 50-50.
Oh, whoops. Hold on. The next one, Jackson. I mean, you're having dinner with Mace Windu. That's true. Didn't Morgan Freeman run away with like his adopted granddaughter?
Didn't marry her though. He didn't settle down.
This is a tough one because you're right. Like, I feel like for me personally, Samuel L. Jackson is more like you're gonna have a crazy night. Like if you're trying to party, you're going with Samuel L. Jackson. But if you're trying to relax and have like a nice, elegant dinner, Morgan Freeman's the way to go. He's class all the way. Now, not that Samuel L. Jackson isn't class, but I feel like Samuel L. Jackson would be class, but that could turn into like a full-on, Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, like acid-fueled trip. Like I don't know.
That's what I'll go for.
You'll go for Samuel L. Jackson because there's the opportunity to have some sort of crazy night. Okay.
Because Morgan, I mean, they're both in their 70s as well, I suppose, isn't there?
Freeman would make Doctor Strange interesting.
He wouldn't. I don't think he would.
That's hilarious.
Sorry, Scott.
You're right, but like those guys have been acting forever, and they keep going. Like, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is in like 400 movies, And
is that all? I thought it would be double that, He's in everything.
I don't have those stats on hand, but all right. And the final question for this or that, and this is the big one, and this is the toughest one yet, I think, of any of the episodes. This is episode 4, and I saved one of the toughest ones for you.
Wow.
The Office or Parks and Recreation?
Easy.
Easy. Ooh.
I've never watched Parks and Recreation.
What?
Yeah, I'm not a very good nerd, am I? Like,
I mean, I wouldn't say that The Office and Parks and Rec are nerdy things,
okay.
but
I mean, okay, I'll put it this way: I'm only on season 9 of the first run through of the US Office. I haven't finished it yet.
You haven't finished the US Office?
I only started it a few months back, and it's actually quite annoying because I'm working from home, my wife's working from home, so I had the Office on in the background when I was working.
Yep.
And so I was flying through the episodes, getting through like a season within a couple of days. It was great, and then my wife goes, "That looks really good and really funny." It's like, "Right, do you want to watch it?" It's like, "Yeah." So she started watching it with me, but we didn't go back to the start. I said, "Well, you can watch them here with me, and then we'll go back and watch it again if you want."
Yeah.
But she's so many TV shows she's watching. Like, she doesn't have a lot of time herself, so I now have to wait on her to watch TV shows, and The Office is one of them, and it annoys me a wee bit. But yeah, I mean, The Office.
Just to clarify, because we're having a conversation, we're talking about the U.S. Office, not the UK Office. That was only like 1 season or 2 seasons, right?
Maybe 3. I'm not certain.
Okay.
2 or 3. Yeah.
Okay.
It was good too, but if you kind of have to be a Ricky Gervais fan, because some people he grinds on them, but I like Ricky Gervais.
See, I've watched The Office. I just finished it again for the 4th time, all the way through, and I tried to watch the UK Office, and I enjoy like British humor, because it obviously is a different thing than US humor, but it didn't hit the same note that the US Office. But regardless, we have a lot of opinions here. Sean says The Office. Highland G says original UK Office. Tom says The Office. Dino, which version? We're talking about the US version. Noob says Dwight is a legend. So I just saw a post about this, and it was very interesting to me that I didn't know about The Office. Was Dwight appears or is talked about in every single episode of the US Office. And so this person was alleging that The Office is actually about Dwight and that the entire show revolves around him. And watching it the 4th time and having that information, it is very Dwight centric. It is very much revolves around him. And I think he's probably one of my favorite TV characters of all time. He is so good.
You see, I like Dwight, but Michael for the US Office, I'm watching it currently, and it definitely dropped in quality whenever
Steve Carell left.
Carell left, and
definitely,
like, Michael was that kind of awkward, cringy kind of character, which you kind of hate him, but like you can't not have him on your show. And
yes.
But then Dwight as well. Like, I remember the episode where he does the fire drill and he locks the doors and throws a smoke bomb.
I told my wife that's the best 5 minutes in TV history. If you don't watch The Office, just watch that clip of the fire drill, and it's hilarious. So the reason I bring this up, my wife loves Parks and Rec, and she prefers Parks and Rec over The Office. And I told her that they are the same show, they are just different. Because if you haven't seen Parks and Rec, it is essentially the same show because it is just an office setting, but they're in a Parks and Recreation office here in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. But the characters are different, but it's the same sort of formula, but they are hilarious, and it's definitely worth your time to watch.
Is that the one with Star-Lord, Chris, whatever his name
Pratt,
is?
Yeah. Chris Pratt's in it, and Aziz Ansari, and it's hilarious. It is hilarious too. It's just a different setting, and I'm pretty sure it's the same, creators. And I think Michael Schur is the Mose from The Office. He's the one of the writers or creators. So
I'll watch it after The Office.
You should. It's definitely worth it. It's so funny, and it is funny to see Chris Pratt because he was chubby Chris Pratt when he was sort of a comedian and funny and or not comedian, but a comedic actor before he got ripped and jacked, and now he's all Jurassic Park and Star-Lord and stuff. Wow, I will tell her that Sean says you're wrong. Some random guy in the UK says that my wife is wrong. No, it's funny. I love them both. Personally, I think just because I found The Office first, I would pick The Office. But I literally, they're two of my favorite shows ever, and I could watch them on end forever. So can't recommend them enough. So that takes care of this or that. Let's get on to the part of the show where we start talking about comics and what my assignment that I gave to you. If anyone hasn't seen the show before, I send a list to my guests. There's 5 categories, and they are supposed to bring or talk about. They don't have to bring it, either a single issue, a run, whatever they want to bring to show it off, about 5 different categories and what they consider for each of these categories. And we'll start out with something that Phil told me he struggled with prior to this show, and that's favorite art or artist. This doesn't have to necessarily be favorite of all time. It could just be a run that that you love. But what did you bring for us this week, Phil?
So I've brought multiple amounts of knowledge. I don't have one singular favorite artist or art style. I think King of Black won't be the answer for everything. Don't worry. But Ryan Stegman may be. Well, the thing is, I just think that an artist kind of fits well with a certain character, especially when it comes to Marvel and DC. Indie's different because you can kind of do anything with indie stuff, but like Mark Bagley for me is the best Spider-Man artist you can get. There's nobody better than Mark Bagley for me. I mean, like, some people come close to Spider-Man, but Mark Bagley's Spider-Man for me. Like I'm reading currently Daredevil, and I've only jumped on the Daredevil run with Chip Zdarsky, and the artist is Mark Cicchetto, and it's fantastic. Like the art in that book is fun. So for me, he's now my Daredevil. So if he moves on from the book later on, I'm always going to judge it on that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I kind of do have some kind of visual aids. I'll try and get this out. Like an artist called Jorge Jimenez. And he's currently on the current Batman run. Now, he's not like he is world renowned, but he wouldn't be the first one you would kind of think of. But where's that image?
I highlighted you, by the way. You haven't looked up yet.
I know. I'm afraid to look. If I don't look, it doesn't happen. But like some of his artwork at the minute, I'm not gonna find the page, but like just in general, like his Batman stuff at the minute is fantastic. Now it does help when you have a good colorist. So they're using Tamora Moray, I think. I'm not sure the name, but like his art in this Batman stuff, like there's like Oracle in our surroundings. Like I just think that art style is fantastic, and it suits the book. It suits Batman.
It's very God, who does it? I can't think of who it reminds me of, but it's kind of stylized but kind of realistic at the same time. It's not full on like Sean Gordon Murphy. It's not that far, but he definitely has a shape to the faces, and he has a style of his own. But it is very, which maybe, like you said, maybe the colorist is adding a lot of those, sort of the depth to it.
Like there's a perfect image. Like this is kind of highlight the colorist. Like,
oh yeah,
it all adds to it.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of blown away with his stuff recently on the Batman book. I'm trying to find the image of the Scarecrow.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to highlight. Sean says the new Scarecrow design is unreal. Yeah,
but I can't. I don't know what book it's in. Sorry, somebody tell me. But I just think the whole
wasn't
thing,
it in the first one back from the Infinite Frontier, like the first.
That's what this one is, and I thought it was this one.
I thought it was in that one, but
I think it might have been in Infinite Frontier, to be honest.
Oh, that's there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but the kind of main image I was thinking of, like. Okay. So like I just think he's
Sean
doing
says
great
107, which I don't know. I think, I'm coming. Jorge Jimenez was one of those people that I started following on Instagram and stuff, and his stuff on there, like his art is just so good. I love it. Completely agree with that, and of course, I'm going to love anything you pick that's Batman related. So,
well, that's the thing. Like when it comes to Batman, I've kind of went through different things. Like Jim Lee, like he's just superb. But I almost think like his art and his stuff on Batman, it's like it's too comic booky. Like if it fits the comic book, where I think this is kind of something a bit beyond the comic book. It's trying to like raise him a little bit. And even like the Clay Man, who was on Batman for a spell, is now on the Batman Catwoman book, which I don't have the art book with, but the art and that's fantastic as well. Like I appreciate an artist that kind of doesn't just draw the characters, but puts the same amount of effort and time in like the background, maybe like a cityscape or something, whatever. And again, no artist is any good without their colorist, because I think they're like the unsung heroes. I think
definitely
in comic book world, and yeah, like they're great. But like similar, like I mentioned, Ryan Stegman, like he's been doing fantastic things with Venom. So now I'm going to judge kind of
everything against that. Yeah.
Again, yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's like with Jimenez, if the next artist who takes over doesn't fulfill that kind of need I have for Batman, it's going to be a fail to me. And I mentioned Mark Cicchetto on Daredevil. Like he's on the book fairly regular. There's a few issues he's kind of skipped in, or a few storylines he kind of bowed out. Maybe he's getting ahead of himself. And the artist who replaces him, you can tell it's just nowhere near the same. And the story dips slightly because of that, which is a shame. But Mark Cicchetto is also fantastic. So yeah, so I don't have a definitive answer, but
that's okay. No, I mean, that's like I said, there's no rules to this. I just, really, this is all for me to just talk to you and learn about you, and then find out some cool stories or cool artists. And I agree with you. Like, I think, Hush was my first introduction to comics overall, and so I started with Jim Lee. So like, where do you go from there? And I have found that when you try and compare, someone like that to other artists that try to do like the realistic comic book, what I consider a realistic comic book sort of take on art, it's tough, it's difficult, and I have started to gravitate towards more stylized artists, because I appreciate that they have created something completely their own. But like I said, looking at Jorge Jimenez, he kind of mixes the two. He kind of has his own style, but it is very still realistic looking.
Yeah,
it's awesome. But I appreciate more, like you said, I've started to delve more into artists and like looking at how much the colorists affect the the line art that the artist puts in there. It is, they are unsung heroes, I think.
Yeah, well, we actually had Mike Spicer on Comic Airwaves a few weeks ago, and it wasn't really until then, well, kind of always knew, but whenever we were interviewing him and I was looking his stuff up and like beforehand and a bit of research, I kind of thought to myself, this guy's hugely important, like, but the colors never really get the credit.
No.
And they really should, because they make it fun.
Colors are so underappreciated. One of my favorites is Elizabeth Breitweiser. Definitely, her work with Epting and Phillips is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I know that people have talked about that. What is it? The Brubaker Reckless doesn't have Breitweiser, I think, and some people are saying that it just doesn't have the same feel as some of his other work, and that kind of makes you realize, like, oh, the colorists do affect a lot of this. When you guys did the Killing Joke on Nerd Herd, that was a huge topic, was the original coloring versus the recoloring.
Yeah.
And I have the Absolute back there, and I read it both ways, and it does completely change the tone of the story. I didn't think it would make that much difference, but it does. Like, it feels different.
And based on that episode of The Killing Joke, like, we showed some pages of both versions, or sorry, we all pick a page, and we showed both versions of the art. And some of them I preferred the rework, and some of them I prefer the original. And it does just set the mood, I suppose, and what you're taking from the story. So it's hugely important. And like the Killing Joke's actually a really good example, because I do think maybe overall the recoloring of the new recoloring does kind of make it more silly. Like, it's obviously silly, but it makes it more kind of comic book silly as opposed to this kind of real kind of dark demonic kind of story.
It's great, I think, with DC and their absolutes like that, and I think Year One is the same way. They put the original and the recoloring together because you can, when you look at it back to back, you can see like there is actually a difference. If you just read a story and said this is the coloring, but you didn't know that there was an original coloring, then it completely changes the way you look at that story. And to me, the same thing happened with Killing Joke. Is like I read it originally, the recoloring, and then I got the absolute and read the original, and I was like, holy shit, this is completely different. Like it has a different feel, and I didn't think it would make that much difference,
Yeah.
But it did definitely affect the way you feel. Like, Off My Shelf says, I'm always gravitating toward more stylized, non-realistic art. Mike Mignola is my favorite. I have a video coming out because I just bought some of his stuff that I'm getting ready to put out.
Off My Shelves, he's been picking, what do you call oh my goodness. Who did Mike Mignola draw?
Hellboy.
What's he known for? Yeah, Hellboy.
Yeah.
I've never read Hellboy. I've never read any Hellboy whatsoever.
Shame on you, Philip. Shame on you.
I feel it. But it is a strange kind of art style. I've seen some of the things, and it wouldn't be something I would normally like to look at in a comic book. However, I get the impression if I actually read Hellboy, like that art would suit the story and suit the character, and I'll probably love it, to be honest.
Something that I don't remember, I was watching a video or something, or we were in a live chat somewhere, and someone brought up that, like, I think it might have actually been in one of the Nerd Herd videos, but they were talking about, 90s art and when Hellboy came out and how different it was versus the mainstream, DC and Marvel, muscle on muscle, lasers and foil stamps and all this stuff. And then you have Hellboy, which is, very, I don't want to say simple because that's the wrong word, but, a much more clean, stylized sort of drawing, and how much that was against the grain and how, appreciated it should be. Because now looking back on it, if you're not reading it concurrent, as it's coming out, you can't see how different it is. Yeah. You just look at it as like, oh, this is just a different art style. But when you really appreciate that, and I think that's something that I've come to appreciate more. And like I said, I have a video that I'm working on about some Mignola stuff, but that'll be out soon. But
look forward to it.
Yeah, it's someone that I've grown to appreciate a lot more, and just reading other stuff,
I feel like I need Hellboy in my life at some, because people talk about it, but my thing is with Hellboy and similar to the likes of Spawn, there's so much. I know there's been so much Batman before me, but I feel like Spawn and Hellboy, you almost need to kind of read it from the start to kind of get a full.
Here's what I'll say personally with in respect to Hellboy. Hellboy is easy to obtain. None of them are like out of print. Those library editions are evergreen. You can get those. Hellboy is almost it's almost an anthology type thing where each story is self-contained, so you don't necessarily have to read them in order, or at least I don't think you do, but I am trying to read them in order. There's a website called like Mignolaverse, which tells you like literally the entire reading order, because after reading, like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades of Hellboy back there, and I'm gonna end up trying to get in because there's, like you said, there is a lot to it, but they're all very affordable, Dark Horse library editions and stuff like that, and their omnibuses are super, super affordable, so it's very easy to get into. I don't know anything about Spawn, honestly, but I don't think it's very intimidating. But Hellboy is very different from the movies. I'll say that it for the better. I think anyway.
That's good, because the movies are dreadful.
I don't know why they can't make a good Hellboy movie, but whatever. that's another story. Ben says he's got to go. Watch the rest on the rerun. Don't worry, man. Have a good night. Don't say anything I wouldn't. Highland G, don't have the space for Hellboy. That's true. There is a lot of Hellboy, and then you get into like BPRD and Ape Sapien and all that, and then there's a lot of it. But I think it's worth it personally. I enjoyed it, and I think it has rereadability. You can go back and reread it. It's not just like a plot that you follow and you're like, oh, I know that story. I think you can reread it and get something out of it. So, but I digress. Let's move on to the next one, and we'll go on to favorite writing or favorite writer. What do you got for this one for us, Phil?
Similar to the previous answer, I don't have one. Listen, I'll come clean. So I'm relatively new to comic books. So similar to a lot of people my age, I watched the Batman, the animated series, Spider-Man animated, X-Men, Transformers, all that stuff that you kind of knew was comic books that you just you appreciated the characters. The first book I actually remember buying with my own disposable income, disposable cash, was the hardcover for Batman, Scott Snyder, New 52 stuff. Because wow. I was always afraid. Like the high numbers always frightened me. Like what do you jump into? It's like, so when the New 52 kicked off, I thought this is my chance. And we're just off the back of the Batman trilogy, the movies, the Nolan trilogy. So I'm going to get into Batman. I'm going to read all the stories and get back to it. So that's all I read was Batman. So in terms of collecting single issues in comic books, I've only actually been collecting since 2018, which is quite short period of time. And I don't have the kind of loyalty, or I'm not adamant that some writers back in the heyday in the 80s or 90s or early 90s are my writers type thing. So I don't have that. My three favorite writers currently are Chip Zdarsky, Donny Cates, and Tom Taylor, for three different reasons. Like
those are three very different writers.
Yeah, and they're all modern. They're all kind of this. The last 3 or 4 years have been their year. So it's my introduction to these kind of writers. They would be my favorite kind of thing, because that's what I kind of start off with. I would have thrown Scott Snyder in there, but I've been burnt by him too many times. Like, you think he should be good. Like, his Batman stuff's fantastic.
Yep.
But he's released some terrible indie books, and I get into them. It's like, oh, yeah, this is dreadful, and I don't bother with him. And it's hard to call him one of my favorites. He is good, but he's not one of my favorites. So Donny Cates is kind of known for his hype and stuff on Twitter, and I'm probably a sucker for it. I buy into it. I think this is great. So I buy into all the hype and stuff. And he does things with Venom, and he's done things with Thor, and he introduced the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and he does things that a little bit kind of go against the kind of greener, if you will. Like, you don't expect as much, but like he retconned some of the Venom stuff, and people were mad at him about it. And it's like, well, hold on, I'm just writing a comic book, and it's one of the best ones out at the minute. So I like the fact that he's a bit metal, a bit badass, and kind of just does what he wants, and he gets away with it because he sells books. Like Marvel, he's the golden boy at Marvel because he sells books. Like, do what you want. And I really hope, because Nick Spencer's on Amazing Spider-Man, and that's another book I'll never drop because I'm a Spider-Man fan. But Nick Spencer's run is terrible. There's a few high points, but it's woeful overall. And I really hope Donny Cates takes over after Venom, because I love Donny Cates stuff. And like off my shelves mentioned there, Cosmic Ghost Rider was the first kind of thing that I kind of started off with the Donny Cates stuff. Like, it was the Thanos run, and then that's where he introduced the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then he had his own kind of mini series, and that was great. I absolutely loved that, and I fully bought into Cosmic Ghost Rider, and that's why I love Donny Cates. But Chip Zdarsky's, he's one where like his humor is like almost like my kind of humor. I think he's obviously he's serious, but he's quite funny in his writing too. And I get the impression that Chip Zdarsky as a person is a bit of a plonker. Like a bit, but like in a good way, like a kind of an endearing kind of way, where he's just like,
hold on, there's lost in translation. What is a plonker?
Like, I don't know. Well, it's its own thing. It's like an idiot, like a kind of like a
smartass.
Somewhat, but like he's he does things for the moment, for like a bit of a laugh, a bit of a joke, but he, it's hard to explain what a plunker is. That's just always known as a plunker. I'd be an idiot, yeah, like a just a plonker.
Yeah, here we go. A plonker is a dick, an idiot.
Yeah.
So, like,
but in a good way.
Is it a derogatory term or is it an endearing term?
It can be both.
It can be both. Okay. A British Jim from the U.S. office. Okay.
Yeah, plonker. Yeah,
an unaware idiot in a way.
That's actually a good analogy. Like, cause Jim from the U.S. office would kind of remind me of how Chip Zdarsky would be. Like, he's funny, he could be serious.
And he's intelligent, but he kind of goofs off and doesn't use his full potential or something. And, he's kind of, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, Chip Zdarsky's run on, I read Stillwater, and that has made me want to get his Daredevil run. Like I said, I'm not a Marvel fan, but just based on those 6 issues, I was like, I want to read more Chip Zdarsky. And I was like, well, everyone talks about his Daredevil run, so I guess I'll start there. So
his Daredevil run is one of the best books on the shelf. In all honesty, like, I mean, Daredevil wouldn't be a character I would have kind of gravitated towards, but someone recommended, like, jump on this book. So I jumped on quite late, and I actually missed out in issue 2 because issue 2 became a hot issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to get now because of like the first appearance of a new detective or something. But so I picked up all the other books, started reading. I was like, this is great. Why didn't I get this from the start? And yeah, like, it's one of the best books on the shelf. So if you're going to buy the hardcovers for it or whatever, there's bound to be an omnibus as well at some point. I would definitely get that because I think what he's writing in Daredevil, like, considering like Brian Michael Bendis, Charles Soule, Frank Miller have all done great stuff in Daredevil. I honestly think that the Chip Zdarsky stuff could be held in higher regard than all of them. That's fantastic.
That's good.
But yeah, but the other writer who I mentioned is Tom Taylor. Like, I mentioned, I don't cry at movies, right? So I have cried at a comic book, just one single issue, and it was a Tom Taylor book.
Okay.
And it is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue number 6. Now, so basically what happened in this issue was Aunt May has cancer, so she's in the hospital getting her treatment and so on. So for Peter Parker to be there but still be Spider-Man if he's needed, he's in the hospital as Spider-Man, and he's kind of in the children's ward, kind of providing a service to kind of cheer them up and stuff. And so it starts off with him and his new sidekick Spider Bite, and they're fighting all the usual kind of criminals and from his rogues gallery, but it's all make believe. Spider-Man is playing with this kid in the hospital, and I can't remember, to be fair, if the kid had like terminal illness or was just struggling, whatever. But the emotions, like, Tom Taylor really pulled on the emotional heartstrings, like, and the wee kid's a big Spider-Man fan, and he wants to leave the hospital, and his parents like, oh, he doesn't really leave, he can't, and even Spider-Man kind of like speechless for a minute and doesn't know what to say, and then he comes like, you come with me, kid, and then they're swinging through New York, and it really hits you in the heart. It's like, oh, I loved that. That was great. And Tom Taylor does that in general because he's written a book called Deceased. I don't know if have you read Deceased at all?
I haven't read Deceased, but I've heard. I mean, like I said, I read Seven Secrets, and so I know Tom Taylor's. I'm trying to explore more of his gallery, but
well, definitely read that Spider-Man because there's only 14 issues for his run, but that issue number 6 was fantastic. But the run overall was quite good. But with Deceased, there's had Deceased and had Deceased Dead Planet, but in between had something called Deceased Unkillables, I think it was called. It was like a 3-issue mini. And essentially what was happening, these kids who were running away from all the kind of zombified heroes and people of Gotham or whatever, and so they were kind of hid away, but like Bane and some of the other kind of more villains were like their protectors and stuff, and they kind of thought, well, we can't keep them safe forever. There's a chance that they may need to fight, so they trained all these kids how to fight and so on. But essentially, I don't want to spoil it, but I would never have thought in a million years I would feel sympathy for Bane. But in this book, I was like, "Oh man,
that's awesome!"
He can't kill. Do you mean it was just
So I read a thing about that, about villains, and like specifically about movie villains, and like how actors can portray a movie villain, and like you see that person and you just hate them because of how well they portrayed that, and you're like, you should respect them so much for their portrayal of a villain because they make you just hate that person. And like, you know, that's kind of one of those things, is like the flip side of it is like, man, you're not supposed to love this person or have any, you know, good feelings towards it. And they have made you feel, you know, for that villain, which is a feat, I think, you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing. If Tom Taylor can do that, that's what he does. That's what he brings to the table. He kind of makes you feel for these characters. Now, I say Tom Taylor, and I'm almost a bit worried about it in terms of like, he can't seem to do the top guys. Like, he doesn't really good Batman for me. He struggles with that, but then it's a big kind of thing to take on as Batman. But certainly the kind of middle ground kind of said listers.
Yeah.
You know, he's fantastic. Like, even he's on Nightwing, and the 2 issues of Nightwing he's done so far are fantastic. It makes you, again, because Nightwing's let's be honest, Nightwing's a nothing character. He's not Batman. He's a sidekick even still. But the way Tom Taylor's doing it with him and where he's going with it, you can get the impression that Tom Taylor knows what he's doing. He done a 11-issue series on Suicide Squad. Again, another team that I don't care about. But
I just saw someone post about Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad, and there's a trade paperback or a hardcover out for that, and they were like, "This is so much more fun than it deserves to be," or something, you know. And I was like, "Man, maybe I'll check this out," because like I don't really care about Suicide Squad, but yeah,
that's the thing. Like, if there's a new book coming out, like my local store, the guy who owns my store, they know that like
Nightwing is more important than Batman to me. How dare you? Wow, Highland G is angered at your Nightwing comment.
I don't know. I like Nightwing and the parts he's played in some of the Batman stories, but I just feel like if he was to die, like permanently die, exactly. It's just like it wouldn't faze me. Like I hated. I don't want to spoil things too much, but in the recent Nightwing stuff, he was shot in the head and he forgot who he was, and he became Rick Grayson, and it was just dragged out and boring. Like, oh, I can't read this anymore. But so
I think I'm the same way. I'm not a big Nightwing fan.
He wasn't even the best Robin.
Yeah, I think Damian's the best Robin, but I don't know.
That's fair. I was going to say
I like Damian as a Robin. I'll say that. I don't know, you know, but that's a whole nother show we could get into. But no, I agree. I think you are spot on with those, and I like it that you're picking current writers, you know, because like a lot of people could pick, you know, Alan Moore, or, you know, someone that, you know, is less active or, you know, historically relevant, but you know, current writers, that's awesome.
I think like with Alan Moore, like, and Neil Gaiman, and even Jonathan Hickman, sometimes I feel like I'm not intelligent enough to read their books. Like, I don't want to feel silly when I'm reading books.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like Tom Taylor and Chip Zdarsky and Donny Cates are my level of intelligence, but I just feel like I can relate to their stories more. And
no, I completely understand what you're saying, because like I love Why the Last Man, and like I feel like personally, Why the Last Man it's a plot driven story. You're there for the ride and for the twists and turns and the cliffhangers and that kind of stuff. Whereas like you say, like Alan Moore is more existential and in your head, and you know, you have to think about the symbolism and that kind of stuff. And there is a difference there. Sometimes you want just a, you know, we're on along for the ride and we're trying to have a fun time, versus, you know, The Killing Joke, which is like a seminal, you know, milestone story that you need to examine over the years. There's a difference there. So,
and even to be fair, even people like Ed Brubaker, who I would suggest is one of the more intelligent writers, but his stories, like you could read Criminal or Pulp or Reckless cover to cover and just straightforward kind of writing, but it's exciting, it's intense.
Mm-hmm.
I like that style as well, but I don't know. It's just I don't often want to read real thinkers of a book. Like when I'm reading comics, I want to zone out.
Well, then maybe that's what you read comics for. You know, you read comics for an escape, and you know, for the fun and the action. Whereas some other people may read it for, like you said, the thinkers and the, you know, drama or whatever. Those are, you know, everyone has their own reasons for reading, and sometimes you want a bit of both, and sometimes, you know, I think I'm kind of a mood reader. Is like sometimes I'm in the mood for, you know, that, but like right now I'm reading. I just got the Dragon Ball, the very first manga 3-in-1 little thing, and like because I watched that show when I was a kid, and like I love it, and it is just kind of fun. It's not a thinker. You're just there to find the story out and find the history out, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm doing that to kind of break up like heavier reads, you know. So I kind of oscillate between both of them, but you know, if you're in it for one thing, that's hey, that's what you like. So
I get there's some books where like the payoff at the end is worth it, but sometimes in the middle it's a bit of a slog. But I say the payoff's worth it, but then you need to be in the mood yourself, and those books for me tend to take longer to read because I'll maybe read an issue or two and put down and go pick up something a bit daft and come back to that. So it just takes long to get through, but the payoff is generally, as long as it pays off, but there are sometimes it doesn't, unfortunately.
Highland G, so more interesting writers like to play with non-A-list characters as they get given more room to play. A-listers are generally restricted to fit within the greater universe. Look at Morrison on Animal Man. Yeah, the Morrison's Animal Man run is on my list as well.
Me too.
Because Grant Morrison is one of my. I enjoy his writing. I know that he's kind of divisive. You know, some people love him, some people hate him, but that's
he's one that exhausts me as well. Sometimes, like some of the stuff is just a bit too outrageous. Like I almost feel like I need to take the same mushrooms he took when he was writing it. I need that to read them. And,
I thought you meant you were gonna say take notes or something, but you said take mushrooms. I mean, hey, whatever you gotta do to get through the book.
Whatever he's on writing the book, I feel like I need to be on that to read the book. And
I started reading Doom Patrol. You know, his Doom Patrol run, and it is crazy. It is crazy, and I got that same sort of vibe where you're like, oh man, this is a thinker. Like you got to you have to absorb it, and it's one of those things where you're not going to breeze through 4 issues. You kind of have to read 2 issues and think about it.
I've heard nothing but good things about this Doom Patrol. It's something I want to go back to read.
There you go, Dino. Very true. Doom Patrol stuff was equally as awesome for me. It is, but like you said, that's kind of a balance that you have to reach. Is like, do you want to read all this heavy shit all the time, or do you need to kind of also go back and forth between, you know, heavy stuff, fun stuff, light stuff, heavy, you know? So that's something to think about. But we'll move on here, and this is a fun one that I like. Guilty pleasure. What did you bring today for us for guilty pleasure?
Okay, so
Sabrina. Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome.
So the story behind this is I tried to watch the TV show.
Hold that up real quick because that cover is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that's
cover.
Like the TV show kind of.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. But the other cover is more darker than that, more grim. But so yeah, I tried to watch the TV show a couple of years ago when it first came out, and I just struggled with it because this wasn't for me, to be honest. And I remember Melissa Joan Hart being Sabrina the Teenage Witch back in the day, and I liked that because it was just easy. But so I did not want to read this. So every fifth, like we've mentioned before, on the Nerd Herd, every 5th week the viewer gets to pick a book, and they get to come on. So it was Beth, who's Welsh, Liam's wife. She had picked Sabrina a couple of times, and every week she'd put it on. I was like, oh, please don't be that. Please don't be that. So I just didn't want to read it. I was like, no, I don't want to read this. So eventually, of course, her pick got chosen, And I was like, for goodness sake. So I ended up buying the trade because I found it on Amazon fairly cheap. And I thought, right, I'll just pick it up because I prefer to read physical as opposed to digital. So I grabbed it, and I really liked it. And I almost I felt not ashamed because of the book, but like I put it down so much before, like it's just terrible. Like I made my mind up. I says I don't want to touch this. Like I don't want to know about Sabrina and her teenage pals and high school drama and all that kind of stuff. But man, this was dark. This was horrific. And I forget the name now, but the main kind of villain who's like oh man, what's her name?
Oh yeah.
If Dean's on the chat, if you can remember, put her name up. But she was gory. She was brutal.
Well,
she killed.
You got to that point where it wasn't there like there was something really dark in there. I can't remember. It was in like the second or third issue.
Yeah, like so the girl I'm talking about kind of so she wanted to go back, and she was Sabrina's dad's girlfriend back in the day.
Yes.
And he left her for a mortal woman. So whatever happened to her, she was kind of, I don't know if she was in hell or whatever, but she was released from hell through a spell and she kind of went on a kind of mission to kind of destroy everyone related to her previous.
Didn't she kill a trucker or something?
She killed the trucker. And to be fair, the trucker was a known kind of murderer, rapist type thing. So
that's the thing I'm thinking of. But I was like, holy shit, this is like not Sabrina the Teenage Witch from the TV show. Like that was the point where I was like, okay, this is a darker sort of interpretation.
I think it was issue 2, and that was her kind of main issue, and that was my favorite. Like she went to Sabrina's mum, who was in like a psych ward.
Yes.
And basically she gave her memories back, but she couldn't get her the psych ward because she's obviously deranged. But she gave her everything back, but left her there, didn't want to kill her type thing.
Madam Satan.
Satan,
that's what it was. Okay, yeah.
And just the way she kind of went about things, she's just really sadistic, and I loved that, and I thought it was great. And this book,
there was so much in it that I did not think and I like the art a lot. You know,
like the art,
real quick. Yeah,
put it. The art styles that kind of scratchy kind of.
It felt very like 70s, 80s horror movie kind of, you know, it was very like
that's the scene where she killed herself by jumping into the lion's den.
Yeah,
and it's just
I was not looking forward to it as well. Like I'm with you, like, you know, you have these preconceived notions about like what things are or how they are gonna go, and then you get into it, and that's what I love about comic book nerd herd is like some of these things happen to be good, you know, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're great. But that was an interesting one.
That really surprised me. So it's not guilty pleasures, and I'm embarrassed to have it in my collection. I'm more ashamed how I reacted to it as opposed to like, this is actually pretty good. And again, people don't talk about it either. It's not like it's a well-renowned book type thing, and it really surprised me, and I'm glad to have read it. And if and when Roberto, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, if and when he gets back from writing a TV show and he finishes this, I'll be buying the second.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That they he never finished it, right?
Yeah, I think he had written 2 or 3 issues into like the next volume, and then he went on to the TV show, and he's been very heavily involved in that. But that's ended now, so you'd like to think he'd come back and finish this off, just to round it off the good 6-issue volume 2, and then that's it. You know, call it quits. But that doesn't always happen, unfortunately.
Okay.
I have another one though. I have another guilty pleasure, by the way.
Oh, you got another one? Awesome. Let's go.
And this is one I am a wee bit ashamed to talk about. And I'm not going to show you any art because I can't.
What? Oh, okay.
So, so Brian Azzarello is kind of renowned for being a bit crude. I mean, he's only wrote about he had the Batwang out, and he's responsible for Batman's Willie being out on show, and he writes a lot of kind of sexualized kind of stuff. Yeah, Highland said porn. Yeah, but so this is a porn. There's no getting around this as a porno. This is a book called Faithless.
Faithless. Ooh, okay, all right.
So I'll show you the cover.
I've heard of this. Yeah.
I'll show you the covers because it's safer. So there's one.
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Two.
So are these covers done by the interior artist or no?
I think they're all done. Yeah. So Maria Lovett. I'm not sure if that's pronounced her name. So you can see there again, all very sexualized. And
wow.
Stuff.
Okay. Are you trying to get my channel taken down? All right, that's fine.
No, I'll show them quickly and not be on. But
that one's a devil one. Oof.
Yeah, well, this is the thing about this book surprised me. And the reason it's a guilty pleasure is because I had heard about this book when it first came out. It was quite controversial. Some of the stuff within it, and me at the time thinking controversial books that just for resale value, it's a spec book. So I grabbed it and added to my pull list, and my friend who goes with me to the store was like, "Why are you buying that for? It's just it's a porno. Like what? It's like a faith that's going to be faith pun that it's going to be maybe something that maybe might be worth a bit more money." So I've read it, and to be honest, it's not a good book. Like it doesn't read really well. It jumps about a lot, and so it's all about magic. So there's this girl called Faith, right? And she dabbles in a bit of magic, kind of like it's by writing things down, drawing all the kind of whatever, and there's no real reason to what happens. So she meets this girl called Poppy, and she has a boyfriend an ex-boyfriend who's trying to get back together with her, and Faith kind of steps in, holds his hand, and goes, "Leave her alone." And then the two girls go for a drink, and the next thing on the news, the man's jumping off a building. So it's got something to do with her and her magic, and whatever she brings just by touching him has made him want to kill himself type thing. So it's a bit grim and stuff. And this is the whole book. This is the problem. Like this book has so many kind of shocking moments. I'm going to describe them all to you, don't worry. So basically Poppy and Faith engage in a sexual relationship, and it's quite graphic. You see a lot of I'm trying to be polite. You see a lot of hands going into areas and performing like fellatio and stuff.
Sexual situations.
Yeah. So it's all a bit strange, and I remember thinking like, this is not good, but like, what? Like, this is mad. This is a comic book. This shouldn't be on this book. And I'll give you some of the death scenes, right? So this is one, and it was really deranged, and it played in my mind all night when I read it. So she's given oral to her roommate who's grieving because their roommate died, and so so instead of like I don't want to use the word ejaculate on your stream, but I'm going to. So instead of going outwards, it kind of goes inwards. So you see that like that little sperm kind of things going up his body, and then he just books.
Orders on Amazon is to build a you see a lot of muff.
This is why it's a guilty pleasure, because I am slightly embarrassed to talk about it. But
this is great because this is engraved on the internet forever. So you're always your children are going to grow up to see this. Just continue on, please. So
this guy who she's performing on, the sperm goes inside him and up through his, and he bulks it out, and then they kind of like sperm on the floor, and it grows the size of him, and it kills him and stuff. And
oh wow,
it's so strange. Like it's all linked.
So it's like fantasy, romance / I
wouldn't even say romance, hardcore porn, but it's all linked to like the devil and the fact that she's dabbling in kind of like the dark magic and stuff. And there is a second volume which I don't have because I did think I can't really buy this because I'm getting too much stick for it. But I do want to read the second volume to see what actually happens.
Oh, Jesus, U.S. books avoid all sexuality. Makes it stand out more. European books don't care, so it's all over the place. That's probably true. But I cannot say that I've ever heard of this, and I can understand why you're guilty. A sperm monster ? Orders volume 2 on Amazon.
I'll tell you another scene as well. Which again, these are shocking moments throughout the book. This is the reason why I kind of I like it, but I don't like the writing. I don't like the style, but I like the kind of shocking moments. So the two girls are walking. This is all based. It's all based in downtown Manhattan, and the people in question, they're all kind of like artsy, fartsy people, and their heads are in a cloud. They're not really living the real world type thing, living a wee bubble.
Yeah.
And So these two girls are walking down Manhattan, and these three fellas hit on them, and they're doing the whole tongue flapping thing and like, you know, blowing kisses to them. So the girl Faith does something to them, and she says, "Well, tell me what you want to do to us." Next thing, the three fellas do what they want to do to the girls to each other, to the point where those sperm monsters I'm talking about are like, they're on their faces and stuff. Like, see, like, kind of like, you know.
Please no more sperm monsters.
It is the most bizarre book I've ever read. So it's not coming to the Nerd Herd, by the way. I can't do this to the Nerd Herd.
I was about to say, Phil, unfortunately, we got to move this show along. So we're going to move on to Hidden Gem, which is completely different from Guilty Pleasure. Hidden Gem can be, something no one talks about, or something that you found that no one else has talked about, or, you know, just something that you think deserves more recognition.
Yeah,
so
I've got a couple. Again,
great, love it.
But so the first one is a book called Farmhand. Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard of it. I've seen. Who is the writer on this? Is this
Rob Gilroy
from Chew? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was the artist. He was the artist on Chew.
Yeah. So
he writes and draws this, and essentially, like, I think we've got 3 volumes now. Before I've only read the first 2, but so it follows like the Jenkins family. Jebediah Jenkins is the father, and he kind of grows like body parts. It's like a farm, so like organ farm, but like he's growing appendages and arms and hands and so on, and
like in the ground, like
like on trees in the ground, all sorts. It's really strange and really bizarre, but it's really, really good. Like, so essentially, if you're like an amputee or something, or whatever happens, if you want a new arm, you just go to this farm, pay the money, and they'll latch an arm onto you, and it just attaches, and then you've got an arm. You know what I mean? It's really strange.
That's awesome.
But it basically follows. So his son Seek, I think Ezekiel or Seek, he lives in the city, but he's been asked to come home to the farm to help out the family, and so it's all about him and his wife and kids trying to fit into the countryside from being city folk, and there's all that kind of typical kind of comic trope that you would expect. Mm-hmm. But then obviously there's things like the government and other agencies want the formula to be able to grow parts themselves because they're making so much money. It's kind of a big business and stuff. But yeah, I just seen that comment. They create everything.
I don't know about sperm monsters. And Highland Jesus, he hasn't read it yet. Looks good. Wait for hope. I've seen it, and I like Chew a lot. And but you said that this is the artist from Chew, but he's writing it, right? You said,
he's doing art and writing. And to be fair, it's not. I mean, it's like what Chew is. It's silly. Of course, it's silly. He's growing body parts, but I love the drama of it, and it got me hooked.
I love his art in Chew, at least. And I like, again, it's a very stylized sort of cartoony art, but it's so fun, and
it's something that belongs in the Cartoon Network. Those kind of shows. But like it doesn't. Some people do talk about it, and I obviously know what it is, but I feel like it needs more recognition or something. Like, more people should talk about it.
Definitely. It's not something that comes up, I think, on a lot of people's, top 10s or anything like that. But if you enjoy it, that's what Hidden Gem is for.
But as Highland Dave was saying, like, it needs the oversized hardcover treatment. It needs a deluxe book, just because the art alone it is very stylized, very, very good.
Awesome.
A picture over the show here. Another one too. Again, I want to talk about this book because, again, you've probably heard of this Oblivion Song. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have. I know it's Robert Kirkman, but I don't know anything about it, honestly.
But the problem I have with this is that this has been consistently good. So we've got 30 issues so far of this book.
It's 30 issues already? Wow.
Issues in, and people talk about his other stuff like Firepower and stuff at the minute, and obviously he's re-releasing the Walking Dead stuff. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of under the radar for him. Like, no one really talks about this kind of book, but it's fantastic. Again, it's like, what's the word? Like transversions, whatever. Oblivion. Something happens to the world kind of amalgams with Oblivion and people get lost, and it follows the guy who's responsible for it all. He's like the scientist. There's all government-backed money. He goes back into Oblivion to try and get people back out. But then it comes to the point where the government, we're not going to fund you no more. We're no interest. We've got all people back. We need to get back. But his guilt is that he's responsible for it, and it's his brother is on the other side. He's trying to get back. So it's very dramatic, but you're kind of introduced to all these different kind of creatures and gangs that are in Oblivion. And whenever you come out of Oblivion, you have to obviously deal with being in there for so long. Like, you're escaping all these kind of weird monsters and stuff. And it is quite strange concept. But honestly, I haven't read the last 6 issues, so I've up to issue 24, and it's just consistently good. Like, I'll not be dropping this book as well. And that's one book I'll keep on.
They just put out a hardcover for that, I think, for volume 1.
Have they?
I think, yeah. Because I think I saw it on Organic Price Books that they have a hardcover for volume 1. Because I think there's like 3. Yeah, I mean, if there's 30, there's probably like 4 or 5 trade paperbacks at this point. But I think volume 1 there isn't a hardcover. I don't know if it's oversized or not. But I know that I've seen people have a hardcover for Oblivion Song, and I like I said, the only thing I know about it is Robert Kirkman. But if you're recommending it, then yeah, I might check it out and pick up that hardcover, because I don't think since it's new, and like I think you said, it's kind of under the radar because all of his other series are getting more attention. You know, Invincible is coming back, and that's getting a lot, and Walking Dead and everything. So
the fact that we have 30 issues and 31 starting again next month for the month after, like, it has legs. It can go on.
That's a substantial series. I mean, you know, that's quite a bit. Like, nowadays, you know, if you make it, you think, you know, an arc is 6 issues roughly, you know, 5 or 6 issues, and that's going on 5 arcs. Like, that's a long time, you know.
But it's one thing I love about the Robert Kirkman model as well. Like, in all his books, like, he's so far ahead of himself that he never misses a release date. So he's consistent every month. Book comes out, maybe takes a month or 2 break, and then the next arc.
If he just has so many ideas going that he just, you know what I mean, like that he's ahead of it, because you hear all the time about how people miss their, you know, releases and stuff. And like, are you writing it literally the month that it's coming out, or like, is he so far ahead and he's like, oh, I wrote that 6 months ago, you know?
And the artist as well, Lorenzo Di Felice. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but
I love the covers. The covers are great. Like, it looks super cool. Like, yeah.
I'll try and show you the art style, but they say the artist as well. Like, they haven't had to change the artist. It's been consistent throughout, and it's not like it's
30 issues and it's the same artist. Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I know that's different on Image. You know, Image typically people keep the same artist. It's not kind of, but that's a lot of issues for one artist.
So this is a glimpse of what it looks like in Oblivion. So it's all kind of like,
oh wow, yeah, that's really
these
cool.
kind of weird creatures and all these things, and it's hard to explain what they are. But issue 24 is what I'm up to. It's kind of you're now introduced to these new kind of species that are in Oblivion that now pose a threat to humanity and stuff. So I tend to wait for this now. Yeah, I buy it in singles, but like we mentioned earlier on, I tend to wait until there's the arcs finished and I'll go back and read it. So I have to go back and read the last one. But yeah, like, it's been very consistently good. It's not overly groundbreaking. It's world building, but it's nothing I haven't seen before. I don't think, you know, it's not an original idea as such. It's just,
but the story is good. So
yeah,
that's I think where I'm getting to is, like, I don't care if it's something completely brand new, as long as the story is good. I think that's one of the things that, like, you know, I'm finding more and more these days is, like, I don't care if it's post-apocalyptic. Like, obviously that's done a million times, but if the story is good and the characters are good, then I'll stick with it. Die, wasn't that someone else?
No, that was you're thinking of Die, probably, with Kieran Gillen. No, Die is a Kirkman, but that's
yeah, you're right. Okay,
that's the book that he just kind of he didn't announce, he just released it.
Okay.
I'm pretty certain like he didn't. It wasn't on solicitations or anything. But he just released.
Yeah.
Here's my new book, Die Die Die.
Okay.
And
you're right. Yeah, because I have issues like 3, 4, and 5 or something of Die Die Die. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, Die. You're right. This is a different. That's Kieran Gillen. Okay.
yeah,
So many.
Die's the Dungeons and Dragons kind of based comic book, which is really good, but it's not a hidden gem because.
Gotcha.
Well,
yeah.
Um,
Okay. Well, then that moves. Are you done with Hidden Gem?
I just
You have one more. You have another Hidden Gem. All right.
I just
awesome.
wanted to show some love for this as well. Have you ever heard of this? The Magic Order by Mark Miller.
Okay, hold on. I think it's Mark Millar. I don't want to correct an Irishman.
No.
I thought his name was Mark Millar.
No. See, I do this quite a lot on my videos. Whenever I'm talking about Mark Miller, I purposely take the piss out of people who say Mark Millar. He's Scottish, right? For one.
Oh, he's Scottish. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
it's Mark Miller. He calls himself Mark Miller. That's just the Americans. Right. Like they obviously spell it Miller with ER at the end. Yeah. It has spelled AR, so it does look like Mark Millar, but he's not French. He's not Mark Millar. He's Scottish.
Okay, Mark Miller.
It's Mark Miller.
That is very correct.
Yeah, but
thank you.
It is funny though that people call him Mark Millar because I think for him, like if he's been interviewed and say, "Here's Mark Millar," like how do you like? You know, you can't correct everybody every time. So I think he goes with
that's like James Tynan.
Yeah. It's not Tynan.
It's not Tynan. It's he says it's Tynan, but you know everyone says Tynan, but you know whatever. Okay, so I'm sorry I interrupted. Mark Miller.
So I'm just going to show some love for this because this is fantastic. Like this,
I've never heard of this. Magic Order. Ooh.
This is one of the ones that, and it's really annoying because he's only released volume 1, but he has put on Twitter that he's finished volume 4. And we haven't had 2 and 3 yet. So
wait a minute. Volume is there multiple issues or is it
there's just 6 issues or 5 or 6 issues. I think there's 6 of the first arc, like the first volume. That's all it's been all it's been released.
And he's written 4 volumes?
He's written 4 volumes and I cannot wait until it gets released. I don't know what the holdup is, to be honest. Olivia Coppell is the artist. But it's really dark, really grim. People describe it as Harry Potter meets Goodfellas because
that sounds amazing.
all like the magic stuff. So basically, there's these families, these kind of magician families, and they're now at war essentially now. And oh god, no, there's no big sperm monsters in this, but you know.
We started something. That's all right. Yeah. Everyone needs to comment on every one of Phil's video about the sperm monster.
I'm just going to call it my channel Sperm Monster from now on. Goodness.
Oh, Jesus.
What have I done? I do this myself.
You thought you were going to have a good time coming on this show. Yeah. Little did you know.
I know. So back to the book.
Yeah, so, Magic Order. Because I'm interested in this. This is cool. I've never heard of this.
I'll tell you how the first issue how it opens up. So basically, there's all these different families and the magicians kind of order, and they're at war with one another, kind of like Goodfellas, like I mentioned, like different families and so on. So one family strikes first by killing people within a certain family, and the way he dies is during the middle of the night. The family are sleeping, husband, wife, and son are sleeping. They kind of like summon the son or enter the son's body or something, and the son goes into the mom and dad's room and just stabs the dad through the bottom of the chin. So it's really graphic, really dramatic, but it's fantastic. And
is this like current day setting, or is this in a historic setting?
No, it's current day.
It's current day. Okay.
Yeah, because so the leader of one of the families, who's the good family, has 2 sons and a daughter, and one of the sons wants nothing to do with magic. One of the sons is really arrogant and confident and stuff, and the daughter is kind of always in trouble. So you're kind of playing those kind of characteristics of each other.
This is awesome. I'm writing it down.
I would. It's one of the books I highly recommend.
Yeah, this sounds so cool. I've never heard of this.
I also think that as part of Mark Millar and his Millar world for Netflix, it may become a TV show. That may be part of the deal to get that TV show.
Yeah, Dean says there's a hold up. I wonder if it's something happening with Netflix.
Possibly, yeah.
So I don't understand this. The what is Miller World or whatever?
That's just his imprint, isn't it, for Netflix? So he's now signed exclusively with Netflix. So basically everything he produces through through Image or through his own kind of endpoint.
Basically.
Netflix have the kind of so the back of all those
I was
books.
gonna say, open this up. I want to. Oh, they have a Netflix logo on the back of it. Yeah.
Okay, 2 weeks.
I mean, I don't want to call him a sellout because, like, hey, if you can get paid for your work, like, by all means, like, hey, good on you. But
I'll just, I want to
show some art because I want to see this because this sounds fucking fantastic.
Right, so I'll show you the scene I was talking about. So it's quite graphic.
Yeah, that's okay.
So there's
wow,
there's like the opening scene where he just
Jesus, stabbed him right.
But his son has no idea.
So it's kind of horror. It's kind of it reminds me a little bit of like Lock and Key, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, there's similarities to be fair to it. So I think the artwork as well is pretty good. Like,
you're right. It has a Goodfellas feel, with the sort of Gambino and the mob sort of feel. Wow.
Anyone listening, this is one of the first books I actually picked up when I started collecting, and I loved it, and I want more.
When did that get published? When did it come out?
It must have been 2018.
Oh, so it's been out for a long time, and they've only produced the first volume, like you said?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's written the first 4. Maybe it's held up because of the Netflix stuff.
Yeah, but you think they would keep like releasing it to build up hype, like they would keep going with like being like, hey, this is volume 2 and we're getting ready to now coming to Netflix or whatever.
What I will say is that the Netflix stuff, like he tweeted fairly recently about volume 4. Like he showed like the script of volume 4. So I think he's starting to build the hype a little bit. Like here's a chance that this could come back soon. It needs to come out because that is fantastic.
The next Miller World series is on Netflix as Super Crooks. I don't know anything about Super Crooks. I honestly haven't read that much Mark Miller, so I don't know. It's someone that obviously I know of that person, and you should get into. Serious question, Phil. Do your turtles smell? I can see you've got a diffuser right next to them.
I'm terrible at this. No, it's just a really lovely sandalwood smelling diffuser. So it just smells like a man cave in here.
That sounds amazing. Have you? Speaking of turtles, have you gotten the hardcover TMNT turtles yet?
I really want to. Like, there's so many people who rave about it, and it's something I want to dive into. But it's one of those ones like I need to dedicate time to do it because I don't want to do it half-arsed. I want to do it properly. And
so here's what I decided. I'm the same way, and I loved TMNT. I had all the figures when I was growing up, and I was like, man, I want to get into this because now I'm like, I've heard so many good things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do one hardcover every other month. So I'll buy it 1 month, read it the next month, then buy the next one, then like do like every other. So I'm like, okay, that'll give me, 6 volumes per year. And that'll give me enough time because I think, aren't they're like 10 to 12 issues each,
Yeah, and they're at volume 13, I think, just came out fairly recently.
Yeah. So
but are you talking just the IDW stuff?
Yeah, just the IDW. I'm not going to go back to the original stuff. I just want to do the IDW Turtles run, from the beginning because I think there's like you said, there's 13 issues. So I mean, you could get it done in like 2 years. If you do 6 a year, every other.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, it's something I want to do, but I think some of those hardcovers are hard to get. Like, I think you can get the first couple okay. I think in around volume 6, 5, 6, 7 are hard to trace. And then the more recent ones you can get, but you may be paying slightly over the odds.
There you go.
Yeah, them guys would know, yeah.
13 finishes the run. Wow, I didn't know that was like finished at the run. I thought it was continuing, and then there's new writers. Okay. Huh. Either way, I want to get them because I want to have them. I love Turtles. I love that whole universe. I grew up with NES and all that, the games, the TV show, all that stuff. It was,
I'm the same with Turtles and Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So Scott is a big Power Rangers fan. He reads all the trades for that. And I like the look of the kind of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Deluxe. There's like Year 1, Year 2, Shattered Grid, and for the other one. But I never thought about actually reading Go Power Rangers. But Scott's like saying, well, you get a better picture of the whole thing, because I think Go Power Rangers doesn't have the Green Ranger, so it's the stuff prior to the Green Ranger. And then the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers has Tommy as the Green Ranger. But again, Turtles and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, they're two that I really want to get into. Because again, as a kid, loving those shows, but I just don't know.
I'm falling more in love with Dark Horse and IDW, because like Dark Horse, they're like all of their library editions and stuff are so much more affordable, And IDW, like I know like the TMNT stuff is expensive, but like in retrospect, it's like if you look at some of the absolutes and stuff like that, it's still more accessible. But yeah, so it's continuing with a new creative team. Okay. They're ever going just go in and out of print. So maybe you just kind of, go into it. Power Rangers were a big thing when I was younger, and I was a huge fan. But then as I grow older, I got out of it. But I don't know if I have the same affinity. But I mean, again, like I said, I'm completely open to anything with a good story. So whatever has a good story, I don't care.
It's good to know that Highland G saying that they're evergreen, those volumes. So that makes me want to pick them up. Because I've been reluctant to buy the first one or first two, because I don't want to buy them and then never get the rest in between. But now
because you get that one volume that's like $200 or some shit like that, and you're like, damn it, I need volume 4. I have every other one, but nah. I don't know. I think my thing is I'm just gonna be patient, because I think that's the best way, but and try and go quality over quantity, because things will eventually come down. They'll get reprints. One of Gotham Central is one of the ones that I want to get, but it's so freaking expensive. And I'm just like, I don't want to pay it. I'll wait until they reprint it whenever the TV show comes out, So, but I really appreciate it, guys. Everyone that came in. Oh, wait, we got one more. Favorite currently reading. We got one more. Yeah. I forgot because we went back. Oh, is he literally pulling it off the shelf?
Just the dust jacket.
Just the dust jacket.
I have these oversized hardcovers. And but I wanted the omnibus for so long, and I'm a bit ashamed, because if you see my video, my shelf tour, I haven't read them all. There's some still in the wrapper of the oversized hardcovers. So I'm now currently reading the omnibus now, which I only got in last week, and I'm loving that run. That's the thing I'm kind of reading.
How many issues is that one?
33 plus 2 annuals.
1 through
not the 33, yeah.
1 through 32, and then like an annual or something.
Yeah,
like that.
There's annuals 1 and 2. Yeah, so I've nearly finished it too, but I'm trying.
Phil. No, Phil, not at the end. Okay, Phil just froze. So we're going to continue on the show, because Tom asked, can I please ask Phil to arrange his Grant Morrison Batman books to be in a correct order, 1, 2, 3, not 3, 2, 1. My OC is on. And then off my shelf says 0 year finally. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, Phil's back. You're back.
See, this happens on Comic Airways, where Scott's internet plays up, and I don't know if he's gone or I'm gone. So
we made it 2 hours before your internet fucked up, so we're good.
Phil got ate by a sperm monster. God, I'm never living this down.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I did not think that Off My Shelves would be the one to key in on the sperm monster thing. And he's kind of a potty mouth. So you should read the Batman events with tie-ins. It really adds to the story. All right. So we'll get back into, okay. So Scott Snyder, Greg Pulo, New 52 Batman.
And that was my entry point, I suppose, in the comics. It was the first one I ever bought with like my kind of disposable income, and I felt like the big man. I moved out of the house, moved in with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. I thought I got a bit of extra cash here, and I loved the movies. I want to buy the oversized hardcovers, and I read the first couple. But then my excuse was we moved house, and everything got stored away and stuff, and then I just forgot about reading the rest of the books. But now I have this omnibus, and Volume 2 is out. I think towards the tail end of this year or maybe next year. So we're grabbing that, and that's fantastic. That Batman run, it's one of the best ones. It's up there. In my top 3, Batman was Dark Knight Returns, Year One, and this, and the Killing Joke was always in there too. Kind of like taking each other's place with that.
I know it's one of those things where you like have like a top 5 to 7, and they kind of rotate in and out based on your mood type thing. Like, I've never been called a potty mouth, and I'm kind of proud. Hey, man, I'll call you whatever you want. Just don't call me Shirley. Yeah, Batman has so many stories though that it's tough, but I'm with you because my first graphic novel was Hush, but my first single was Batman New 52 Volume 1, or Issue 1. Yeah. So I'm with you on that. Like, my introduction, unfortunately, was Hush, and then that, and so I'm like, where do I go from here? But I got lucky that I just had a friend that was like, hey, you love Batman, here's where you should start. And he knew enough about it to tell me like, hey, this is what you should do. And I just happened to, at the time, be introduced right at the right time. And it was a great run. If it was a shitty run, maybe I never would have continued on. But it's something I would love to have. The Court of Owls Absolute. That's on my list. Unfortunately, right now it's kind of pricey. Yeah. I mean, they're not overpriced because you can still find them, but I like to pay undercover price for all my stuff if I can try to, so I can't argue with you there. Absolutely love the pick. You should read Volume 2 is November, December, I think. I pre-ordered. So you got the omnibus, and you said it was 1 through 30 something.
30 something, yeah.
And there was a couple extra. So I'm debating maybe I should just do an omnibus. I wonder if it's still available.
Yeah. I mean, it went out of stock for quite a while, and it seems to have got like a kind of silent restock, but that's probably because they've announced Volume 2, and I got that fairly cheap. That was like £51 delivered. I don't know what that is in dollars. You can do the math. But,
like 75. So yes, something like that.
So I think cover price is 100 and
so undercover for sure.
Yeah. So cover price $125 which would be £100 roughly. For us in the UK, so
you got like half price. Wow,
yeah, half price, and I'm glad to get that because, I mean, I understand the kind of what goes into making a book, but if I was to buy that book at £125 or $125, I would feel like it would be a waste of money, not because the run isn't good, because like it is the book, Don't come at me, comic book fans. It is a book. They've made this book of this, and it's great. But £100 or $125, it's like, no way. You can't be paying that.
That's a lot of other books. That's the way I look at it. Is like, you look at like I said, the Dark Horse library editions. Like a lot of those are $25 to $28, $30, somewhere around there. So you're like, is this one book worth 3 to 4 library editions? And you're like, is it? And that's the way I view it, is like, how many of these can I get for the amount of one of these? And that's kind of where I'm at now is like, you have to value quality and quantity, and you have to figure out which one you want. But it is tough when something like that, because like I said, you know, the absolute Court of Owls is roughly $100 right now, and it was like, that's a lot of money. Or I could get like 3 library editions from Dark Horse, or, you know, Boom, or someone else like that, or, you know, so you know, that's something everyone has to think about and what you want. But
and the thing about the omnibuses too, like with Marvel, for example, like there's so much out of print, and there's like inflated prices. So if something's out of print and it seems really kind of
the internet, the gremlins are back. You haven't seen the prices for the Buffy libraries. Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about those. Like, I'm talking about the evergreen Dark Horse library editions. You know, the Hellboy stuff, the Umbrella Academy, all that stuff. Like, there's a lot.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. We were just talking about Dark Horse library editions, and Tom's talking about Buffy. And I'm like, well, those are rarer. But yeah, you know, there's always the rare one. But in general, Dark Horse library editions are very affordable. And I think that for the most part, they're very economical, you know. But
yeah, I really want to get the Buffy stuff because I've just rewatched Buffy the television show recently, and I did not know that the comics pick up after the show. Like literally, if the show ends, the comics continues the story, and I did not know that, and I really want to read that now. But
Elizabeth screen faces. I mean, he's the money. The money is always on point, right? You know, even when he freezes, he's on point. So
what can I say?
Yeah, no, I've never dived into Buffy. I've never been on that train, but I know that it's a huge, like, Highland G loves Buffy, and you know, I know that there's a big fan base for it, and that there's a reason why those hardcovers go for a lot of money. So wouldn't pay over cover for something in print, but certainly out of print. Not print books are a different story.
See, omnibuses are at the minute, they are in a weird place in that Marvel seem to be reprinting so much now. Like, so if there's a book that's out of print that you want to get, and you think, well, I could pay £200 for it on eBay or whatever, and I'll have it and I'll read it, I would love it. I feel like just wait, because they're reprinting stuff all the time, because the omnibus thing's really picking up, like, in the last year or 2 years.
And I wonder how much of that is based on COVID and people being home, and then is there going to be a bubble situation where, you know, once people, because I don't know if you saw, but in the US they lifted the mask mandate for vaccinated people. So if you're fully vaccinated, they have recommended that you don't need a mask now to be outside and most indoor situations. And so obviously things are starting to get more opened up in the US. And I wonder how the comic community, as well as like the collected, you know, omnibus and library and all that stuff, is going to be affected once people start going out and spending money on other things, you know, concerts and events and things. So
yeah, there's probably a connection there. Like they had this extra money to spend, and they're Batman fans, so they're going.
Damn it, Phil! Will you fix your damn shed internet? Tom says, I have the comics for sale, mate. Seasons 8 through 12. There, you're back, Phil. You're back. Yeah. I think the fact that movies and TV shows inflate the prices of comic books so much these days. If you're a reader, Omni and collect editions is the way to go for sure. I know. I just worry about, you know, I know that like everyone's, you know, getting graded comics and speculation and that kind of stuff. And you know, Omnis are the same way. Like you said, there's out of print ones that are going for crazy money, $200, $300. And
to be honest, I don't really understand it, because you do have first edition and second edition books, just like you have normal proper books. But for me, I don't care what edition the omnibus books are. Like, I don't care if they're first edition or if they're 25th edition. It does not matter one bit. So I don't think they should be worth crazy prices because they're out of print, because they should just reprint them. The stories exist. Just do another.
I don't understand how it's not economical for them to reprint them, because they know people want them. You know, like they're gonna make money, and they've already paid for the art, for the artist, for the writer. Like, why not reprint them? You know, I don't get it.
It might cost a lot to kind of produce the book, but the way I said, if you have a book that's out of print and someone wants to pay $200 for it on eBay, that's, say, if DC whatever released it at $100, that's $100 in their pocket and not the person who's selling the book. Do you know what I mean?
The biggest example that I have of that is Fear Agent, which is Rick Remender, and I love that series. And Dark Horse had the rights, and they printed those library editions that people love, and they're $200, $300 a piece. And I'm like, Image now owns the rights, and they put out some paperback versions, but I'm like, why are they not printing an oversized hardcover? Like, what the hell? Like, they're printing money, literally. People are paying $250 to $300 for these. Why are you not printing them and selling them at $75 a piece? Like, you could make so much money. So I'm just waiting on it, you know, but that's a whole show in itself. So, Phil, this has been absolutely fantastic, man. I've been waiting to do this for a while. You know, every one of you guys on the Nerd Herd, I'm excited to have this conversation with. And this has been so much fun. We've had a bunch of good comments in the chat. Everything has been awesome. Please shout out your Instagram, your channel. Let everyone know where they can find you.
So, yeah, I'm just at Phil's Nerdyverse on Instagram and on YouTube and on Twitter, I think. I'm approaching 200 subscribers on YouTube. That'll be nice to hit that. So get subbing if you're not subbed. But yeah, I mean, you'll also find me on, I'll get the exact wording, the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club every Wednesday for our book club reviews. So check that out as well. And shout out to the guys on that: Shane, Donna Comics, Scott Shelf, and Dean, who is the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. So yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great. I've enjoyed this. I was nervous. I was worried about not having answers to my homework, but you know, I think it provided some entertainment. I mean,
everyone says that, and I'm like, it's not. It's relaxed. I don't care wherever the chat takes us. That's the whole point of this.
We got sperm monsters and stuff. So I mean,
yeah,
we had a good time.
Sperm monsters was the highlight of the show, apparently. Just so anyone knows, if you want to hang out, hit me up on Instagram. We can hang out in a little backstage, hang out and chat. Anyone that wants to do it. This has been so much fun, and I'm glad I got back to it. I took a couple weeks off. Try and have another one next week. And by the way, check us out, both of us out tomorrow on Highland G's channel for his 1K subscribers celebration. That'll be a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys there. I appreciate everyone hanging out, chatting, doing everything, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.